NHL race fans. This is Kevin Vitoman 50. Got a few things talked about today. Just one thing, boxes. I know a few of you guys were talking about the Jo-Ann Fabric boxes. I use them now too. This is someone else's stuff. He went ahead and he had it originally in a open canister or open side style setup, and his cars have got really dirty over time sitting in his basement when he didn't race a lot, like in the summertime. And you can see the cars are really dirty. I mean, the cars, we've been trying to get them cleaned up for him and everything, but that's why he left them over here. But his cars are pretty filthy, nasty, dirty. When I first started, this is not my original boxes. I'm just kind of giving you an idea what I used to do. My mom bought us the old original Hot Wheels boxes, the older orange ones. We started off with these. All my cars have been usually in something like this. And all my cars, if you see, are almost perfectly clean. I clean them off a lot too. Rubbing alcohol cleans them off real good. They've got a bunch of different things out there, but I don't have to clean mine too much because most of my stuff is pretty clean. Start off with, like I said, a box like this from the 70s originally. And I got these two boxes, a little bit newer. And I got the 48 job boxes that were the bigger ones like this, were 48 stuff. And from there, I went to these. I bought these a long time ago. You see, this one's really old. I bought this one a long time ago and kept all my cars in them. Most of all my original cars here, the ones that I've had for a long time, are not really in bad shape because they're not really filthy or nothing. Like most people I've seen that had them in like something was more of an open style box. You know, some of mine I've gotten lately and, you know, bought stuff lately here and there, some of my newer cars. But I've kept them always in a box like this. Like I said, Jo-Ann Fabric sells the same box. I've got all my stuff in them now. I went ahead and I bought 17 boxes locally and been giving them out to friends like him here, Chris, you know, all his stuff. So I just kind of want to throw that out at you, what I've been doing to keep my stuff clean. I try not to keep my cars like this out on the table too much, neither do boys neither, just to make sure they don't keep filthy, nasty, dirty, or need to be clean. I'll put them out here maybe working on something, or I bought a car that I've been wanting to tinker with, and then I'll put it in one of my boxes. I've got 4 or 5 extra boxes. I've got all my other boxes in a tote, so I really don't want to bring them out because some of the older ones are fragile. If you understand what I mean, they're fragile. So that's why I don't use them. These are some of the new ones I bought. So just letting you know that. I've had a few questions. Dragman 726 was asking some questions about the last video I did for how I set up my brake. This is by Fergie's Place. I got this paper off of Google and just went to the picture part of it and just went to track wiring diagrams is where I pulled this down from. This one here, the first one here, is the one I'm using. This one here. So it goes from the power pack, negative and positive. Positive goes up to the white wire. Okay, you see that? The positive from the power pack, or whatever you're using for a power supply, goes to the white one, which goes into your controller, into your rheostat. Okay, that goes into the negative side of the rheostat. And then the negative wire coming off the power supply goes up and runs to the red wire, which is your brake. So when you let off the brake, see how it's going to hiss? Well, that should be the positive. This is the negative. What happens is when you let the brake off, I assume, and this is what I've been told, that if for a split second, it turns the brake on. It goes into like a reverse or negative polarity. And you see how it's wired in, the black wire here is wired into the brake, the red wire, and that red wire goes from here over to the track. So you hook it up to the negative side of the track, okay? And then the green wire, or the black wire coming from the controller, goes in, and that one goes directly to the track. So what happens is, if you wire it like this, see the negative wire here on both sides. So if you don't hook up your brake, this is just running normal. There's no brake or anything like that on the track. It's mainly just a negative wire going to the track to make this, the circuit. So if you see that, it goes negative to the red wire on your controller. If it's a 3-wire, your controller has to be a 3-wire. So what happens is if it's plugged into here and you go into the letting the brake off or letting the gas off all the way and going into the back part of the rheostat, from what I'm understanding and how true this is, I don't know. If anybody wants to correct me, that's fine. That just reverses a polarity for just that split second and then goes over to here. If you don't run it like we've been not running it, like on mine here, on my station, which is the yellow station, I don't run it. I just hook it off. I only take it and use it with certain cars. That's your white, black, and red. This is the red that goes to here, which that is going to be your negative wire for your going to your brake. Now, from what I see here, there's different ways of doing this. You can hook it up this way, which is a directional switch. What the directional switch does is you got reverse and forward for the directional switch. Now, I'm not a wiring expert by far, but this is how they're showing how to wiring into the switch. Okay, so all you do is if your car's turned backwards, you can just switch it back the other way and it'll come back to you, is why I'm thinking this is for. I'm going to do this eventually, but I want to do this for I've got, which is called a brake light car. Or if you turn it in reverse, it just goes into like a brake light mode where the engine spins backwards. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to have drag races. We're going to switch it forward almost like a trans brake on a real car. And the car yanks the wheels pretty hard. And then you got one where it's just the brake switch, an on and off switch for the brake switch. It's wired pretty funky. You see where the black goes to it, and then it goes to the track, and again, it's still wired to the brake itself here, just like the directional switch. Everything's usually wired, looks like most of it's wired through the red brake switch, brake wire. Like I said, if you guys want to look on Google, I pulled this down from Google. And here's one with the brake switch and the directional switch, where you can go back and forth and turn the brake off and on. And always leave it plugged in. If you leave this plugged in and all you're doing is just switching the switch off and on, that's all you're doing, off, on, off, on. So if you leave it plugged in, I don't know if I'm going to do the brake switch as much as I'm worried about the directional switch. For, like I said, we're going to use it for snap racing, to where like a trans brake on some of our few of us got the brake light cars, which actually in reverse the engine just spins backwards. The car doesn't go nowhere, but when you snap it into the next direction, which is like are going to be for like light launches, be like a trans brake firing up, is what I'm going to do it for. So I'm going to do a directional switch. So I'm going to do this one here is probably what I'll do. I'm going to end up switching to this setup right here. So that's going to be the negative into the switch going over, and if you see, I'm sorry, see that's going to be negative into here, and then the positive goes into there too, and then they just kind of wired in through the switch itself. So just something to show you. That's what I'm going to probably end up doing myself. Okay, this is what I was talking about, where the wiring starts here. What it is it comes off of here with the white, which goes to the main part of the controller. Then you have your black that goes to the rheostat, the deposit side. The black goes to the trigger, is what I think it is, what they're showing. And then the red is the brake. We'll see how the red is here. It's got two coming off here, right here. One coming from the power pack, and one going from here over to the track. We got it wired in here. So then you get your one here from the other side of the power pack going to the this one here, which would be your black one here, the power pack going to the white one, and then the black one going to the other side of the track. So these are the two going to the track, and then these are two of the power packs. The power pack goes here to the white one here, where it connects from over here to here, and so on all the way down the line. That's why there's two here. So when for the brake switch is wired in two different ways. So this way it stays on all the time. And the only time this one here works is when the brake switch is hooked up top side. So I hope that answers your question and I showed you. If there's any other questions you got, Dragman, just let me know. I'll let you know that, okay? Okay, now I had a question from Big Ralph Smith too. I did a video on rebuilding what I did. I cleaned up a pancake car. This is the car I did it, which is an old, one of my original T-Jet cars. This is a Cobra Daytona, AC Cobra Daytona. And this is one of the ones that like I said, this is the one I redone. Cleaned it all up real nice, got it looking good. And this is a pancake motor car. What it is there's the electricity comes in from either side here, depending on which side the car is on. And then it goes into this here and go into the motor brush. And this one comes over the other motor brush. So one's a negative, one's a positive. And what happens is the engine spins in a circle. Is what turns like the top gear, and then turns the middle gear, and then turns the back gear, which turns the main differential gear, if that's you want to, for better terminology. And that's the one I cleaned up. That's what they call a pancake motor car. And then they went from this car here to this car here, which is just their upgrade AFX car. Same style setup, you know, the way it sets up at the bottom, gears and all that and everything. The difference is it clips on where this screws on. This has body clips where this is a screw together car. Body clips is what holds this body on here, where it clips into this little spot here and then clips onto here, and it's what holds the body on. Again, this is what they consider a pancake motor car. What happens is, and this one ain't working too hot, but what happens is the motor spins. See how there's a magnet here, and the two motor brushes, which spins the motor and spins this gear, which spins this one in the opposite direction, which spins this one in the same direction, you know, that the motor's spinning. And that, like I said, that works the rear end is what it does. And that what gets the car rolling down the track. This is what they call a non-manual traction AFX car. And it says, I don't know if you can see that, but it says AFX right there. Okay, if you can't see, but it says AFX. This is exactly the same car, but this is what they call an AFX magnet traction car. What they did is they took the magnets and put them down through the chassis, so when the car got onto the rails, it stuck a little better. And it's the same thing. It went ahead and it pulls away from the chassis, just like the other one did, with clips. And then this one's the same thing. It's pretty much set up the same way. It's just they went to a longer, taller magnet, which is this one right here. This is the magnet right here. This is the front one. If you can't see it, there's one underneath this plate right here, which is right here, which goes right across the back here, underneath this motor plate, because this right here attaches on as a motor plate. And it's the same thing. It just spins the motor. And that's what gets the car running. So it spins real fast. The faster the motor spins, the faster the car goes. So on and so on. And then this is what they call a 4-gear car, which is the same kind of setup. It's a longer style for like longer bodies. See how much longer this body is than that one. See how the bodies, you know, the front wheels are further far away. So this has what they call, it's a 4-gear. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 gears. See, the motor spins in a different direction. Where this one here spins what they consider clockwise, and this one spins in a counterclockwise. So what they do is they take the magnets and just put them in different spots. They swap them around and put them in different spots. Is what they do. So with this one would have the white magnet in the front. It has the white magnet in the back is on this one. So it spins the motor in a different direction. See how the gears turn on that? This gear is smaller, so it turns the bigger gear, which turns the medium-sized gear, which turns the medium rear gear, which does the same thing in the rear engine closed. Which that is that. And that's when they had all the old original, these are all the old original, what they called specialty chassis, which is the same thing as a 4-gear chassis. It's just they call them 4-gear chassis now. This is a short wheelbase, which is the axle's in a little further back position. And then this is a long wheelbase of the same chassis. And see, this one has what they consider traction magnets on it. Some of the new cars are now having traction magnets on it, where some of the older cars don't have a traction magnet. Some of the newer cars do, where they have traction magnets on the back side of them. I don't know if I have any car here with, and then these cars have traction magnets on it. But I can grab a couple that does. In some of the newer Auto World cars, they have what is called a traction magnet here. This is the same thing as this, except for, see, there's a traction magnet on the back corner. And this is a new Auto World car. They still make these in without the traction magnets, but they now make them with traction magnets on them. And they're doing the same with the Auto World style cars too. They're doing, you know, these cars, the T-Jet cars, they're doing the same with them, as they're putting a traction magnet on here, to where it actually gets better traction. The car doesn't spin the tires as much. So that's what those cars are. So if anybody else has any questions, just give me a holler. I don't know everything, but I do know a little bit. But I hope that answers both your guys' questions. So Dragman, I hope that answers your question. If you still have any more questions, just give me a holler. And same with you, Big Ralph Smith. If you have any questions like this, just give me a holler. If you don't know, I'll go ahead and show you on my YouTube channel, okay? Everybody have a good day and have a good weekend. Thanks.